Hey guys, this is David Nguyen with the Mortgage Edge podcast, brought to you by Click and Close Mortgage. Today I got a very special guest, one of the powerhouse realtors in Phoenix, Arizona, Keith Burton. Keith, welcome to the show. How you doing, sir?
Phenomenal, sir. Thank you for having me. Well, I really
Awesome,
appreciate it.
awesome. I'm glad you could come, be here today. As we sit here and talk today, it's December 27th at noon. A lot of people
Yep.
are off, but I know you're not. 'Cause, you do way too much business in Arizona. Let's talk about that. So we know you're a realtor, and we know you're a big realtor, but how long you been in real estate?
Just over 23 plus years right now. I used to work
23
for,
plus
yep.
years. What'd you do before real estate, Steve?
Let's see here. I pretty much have done everything from copier sales to retail management to play hockey to, you know, a lot of those different options. Many years in different careers.
That's awesome, brother. Well,
Yeah.
real estate is definitely the place you. What brought you into real estate 23 years ago?
My grandfather was doing it way back when. And of course, his deal was, I told him, I said, yeah, I'd love to do real estate. And he goes, you're not ready. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, nobody's going to trust somebody that's 18 years old. And that's back in the day when, you had either no hair or gray hair, kind of doing that to get the respect and everything else. So then I followed other careers and then came back to it. My passion and love was always, new construction, housing, everything, land development. Oh, yeah. So then I've been doing that, and it's just been a phenomenal story.
That's awesome, brother. So is grandfather a realtor or developer? What is he?
Well, he was a wonderful real estate agent. He'd sold advertising and everything else. The nice thing is, a lot of people don't know this, but my grandfather was the very first Minneapolis Laker ever drafted way back when. And he played with George Mikan and Whitey Skoog and all those wonderful basketball players, which now the team is called the LA Lakers. So pretty fun.
Wow. Kudos to grandfather.
Yeah.
Legacy out there.
Yeah.
So I know already, but you're from Minnesota, is that correct?
Born and raised. Yeah, land of 10,000 lakes and 50,000 mosquitoes.
How long have you been in Phoenix, and what brought you to Phoenix?
Just a little over 10 years. Pretty much it was more for me medical conditions because I've got so many years of playing hockey and getting beat up, of course, the arthritis and stuff like that with joint replacements, multiple surgeries. Arizona was the place to be. And the doctors were telling me in Minnesota, you probably don't want to stay there in Minnesota because the barometric pressure rolls too much and cause a lot of pain. So down in Arizona, it's like a new life down here. It's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you moved for medical reasons. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who doesn't love? You went from cold weather to warm weather.
Right?
I'm sure you'll never go back.
No, I just go back to visit, but that's it. Like today, it's already 52 degrees here. So it's just beautiful.
That's awesome. So ex-hockey player, semi-pro, pro, talk to us about that.
Just wound up being drafted out of high school, played juniors, in the USHL with Waterloo Blackhawks. Yeah. And after that, had an injury, of course, ended that. So came back to do a lot of different teams I played with afterwards. Of course, the old timer leagues and all the fun stuff. So yeah, I wound up playing about 52 years. And then I finally had to retire. The titanium was getting worn out in both hips and the shoulder. So.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, tell me this. I know. So you run a pretty big team there in Phoenix.
Yes.
What does that team look like?
The Writer Elite team. The Writer Elite team. There's only, believe it or not, there's 9 of us. Excuse me. Yeah, 9 of us.
That's still a big team, brother. That's still a big team, and you're the head guy doing the thing. And you kind of got
Beth Ryder was amazing. She basically brought me to the team. So when I had come down here, I had interviewed with a number of builders because that's my background. I worked for Top Builder for 15 plus years doing land development operations and broker, fun stuff like that. And
Yeah,
then,
but you in your past life, you worked directly for the builder. Is that correct?
oh yeah, yep,
And
absolutely,
so
yep.
moving to Phoenix was your first time on the other side, just as an agent, not working for the builder.
No, because I had opened up my own brokerages in Minnesota and Wisconsin too. So
Okay.
yeah, I've done everything: investors, land development. You're talking buy, sell, divorces, a lot of estate sales, stuff like that. So, just wanted to be able to be a full service agent, not just that person that says, I can only sell a house.
So how does that work, Keith? With you have a successful brokerage in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and then you move to Phoenix. Is
Yep.
that you still have a brokerage up there, or do you have to shut it down and
I
you're
had to
done?
shut them both down because they're just so busy down here. It's absolutely amazing down here. The business is so phenomenal, especially in Arizona.
Yeah.
There's so much growth. We're still doing, right now, the new figure that just came in is 175 people a day are coming to Arizona to call home. And I've been doing the statistics with the Phoenix Business Journal for over 4 years now. So
Yeah.
I get a lot of the data and everything else too for all their articles, and then write articles, put them in there too. So yeah, it's been fantastic.
Well, let's talk about that. What's the real estate market look like in Phoenix, Arizona,
Oh, Phoenix,
compared to the rest of the country?
it's so funny when you hear a lot of the people talking about, there's going to be a bubble this, there's going to be a bubble that. And you look at the age of a lot of these people, they weren't even born yet when the bubble happened, and I went through it with a builder. So you have way, way too little supply. So to give you an idea, just here in Arizona, we're well over now 420,000 home sites short. Single family homes. So
You say short?
Short,
Oh,
single family homes, short. And you can't get a development through the city's council, neighborhood meetings, final plats, zoning, all that fun stuff. You can't get through the cities for 3, 4, 5 years sometimes. So it takes forever. So we're in a serious housing shortage because a lot of people don't know in the United States, we need to produce 1.5 million single family homes a year just to allow for immigration and birth. In the US, over the last 15 years, we have never produced over 1 million homes. So we are extremely short on housing. Single family housing is just impossible to find right now. And in Arizona here, we've got well over 2 million people just renting in Maricopa County alone, just Maricopa County. And of that, you've got about almost 900,000 of those that actually have credit scores of 640 or better. So we know those are people that are just pent up, rip and ready to go. They're waiting for an interest rate adjustment or, stuff like that.
well, I'll add a little bit more to that. The Gen X and millennials make up 75 million of the populace that's a prime age to buy their first home, which is the prime age is 29 to 35. Right now, the first-time home buyers are average age across the United States is 39 years old. But, I mean, think about that. 75 million across the United States. There's not 75 million houses available, and there's not going to be 75 million houses
No,
available.
no, there's not.
I don't know where the shortfall is. I mean, right now, the last couple of years, our industry has been kind of stagnant. Not
Yeah.
a lot of movement because of interest rates, but there's definitely pent up frustration. There's buyer demand.
Right.
It just seems like everybody's just coasting. What do you think about that?
Well,
What do you think this
you're
coming year is going to do?
1000% correct. So one of the articles that I had with the Phoenix Business Journal, that there's 91.8% of the sellers are what we call interest rate lock sellers. So that means their interest rates are much, much less than market rate. Why would you go from a 3% interest rate to a 6%? So what happens there, that's not a smart financial choice. So many people stay with that. They're not going to move up. But the builders, the national builders and all the home builders out there have been carrying the market for probably about the last 2.5 years here, just because they're doing a lot of incentives. I mean, I got emails yesterday from builders that are doing 3.99%. You're talking 30 years. Then, of course, you got some of them that are using a 3-2-1 buy down. So their first year is at 2.99, then your second year, 3, and it caps out at 5.99% for the next 30 years. So yeah, it's amazing what's happening in the market. We've got such a huge pent up demand. It is unreal. And that's why Arizona, especially investors, stuff like that, now's the time to jump in too.
Yeah.
No
Do you
reason.
deal with a lot of investors, Keith?
Oh, yep. Yeah, I do.
What has been like for the investors out there? I mean, I know for the, they've been buying a lot, and then kind of in the last year, investor buying has kind of slowed down a little bit also.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the fix and flip stuff, that's kind of like a thing of the past because you can't get the margins to work. I mean, you've got some of these people. I had a property appraised and I sent into, I won't name names, but a few of the iBuyers, about 4 of the iBuyers, I had the home appraised and it appraised at $385. Funny, the highest offer we got back was $272.
Right.
You tell me what seller is going to take that. They're not.
Right.
So, yeah. So a lot of those institutional people, no. A lot of the investors that I'm getting are your smaller investors that are going in, buying a home, living in it for 2 years. And then basically I've got them set up in kind of a nice little formula where we look at new construction. They're the first ones in. They buy the home. They live in it a year and a half. We go write a contract on another home, and which will be done in 6 months. Then they rent their previous home for 2 years. We sell it in year 5, and now you're exemption for capital gains. 2, because they lived there 2 of the last 5 years as a primary residence. And we just roll it over and roll it over. I got a gentleman that's going to be writing a contract with one of the builders in a brand new development. This home is going to be all cash.
Yeah, there's a lot of cash buyers out there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of cash buyers.
Speaking of the investor part of it, it's with the interest rates the way they are and everything else. It's just, it doesn't make sense to rent a house. You're losing money on a lot of that stuff. That's why it's kind of died down a little bit. So your market there, Keith. I call you the new construction expert, or whatever. I know you sell all sorts of real estate, but what percentage of your business is new construction?
I would say easy 90, 95%.
Well, and I talk about that. Why would you go anywhere else? You get a brand new house. You get all these incentives. You can basically move in at 2 to 3 points lower than what the market value of an interest rate is, with closing costs built in and everything else. I mean, it's just, why would you go buy construction or even build?
Well, and that was the thing is with my investors. That's why, because what happens to a house? Usually when it starts going, things start falling apart. It's years 5, 7, 10 in that area. So why wouldn't you buy a new home that's got the full warranties, bumper to bumper, for your first year, 2-year plumbing and electrical. Then you got your AC, your 10-year structural warranties. You've got all of those things to protect you. And of course, new construction appreciates much faster over the first 5 years than his existing does. Plus, they're much, much more energy efficient. So you're saving all the way around. And then you turn it, move your inventory. Because why do you want to keep spending money and chasing, as these investors have figured out when they're working with me, is, wow, I don't have the money pits I used to, Keith. I said, exactly. Because my job is to make you money, not spend your money. So, yeah.
Yeah, so with the last 2 years, the way the market is, a lot of people has been hurt in the real estate business, but you've had some of your best years in the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
What I know people that focus on new construction, they saw an increase, not a decrease. That seems to be the secret sauce,
It is.
What do you say to the people that are struggling out there? Because your last 2 years, your numbers are great, brother.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hey, I would just love to keep doing the pace. Our team is fantastic. That allows me to do it, but the biggest thing, like I'm telling people, is don't be that one agent that just shows somebody existing homes. Our job as a realtor, we've got our fiduciary duties, of course. And like I always tell people, we're not salespeople. at all. We're educators. If you can educate these people, and that's why I've been teaching a new construction boot camp for like over 20 years now, teaching people the difference between new, existing, how the mentality changes, things you don't want to do to a new home, as in throwing solar on a brand new home, which voids your 10-year structural warranties and window warranties the same day it's added. So there's a lot of issues, and they're not doing the calculations. That's why I love sitting down with people, educating them. And if you're doing this as a career, be a professional and do it as a career. Don't do it part-time. It's the people that do it part-time that aren't going to get the results. And you got to be dedicated. Like I've told people, real estate is not a job, it's a lifestyle. So
a lot of people,
mortgage guys. Hello.
A lot of people think we just count our cash and hardly work any hours. What people don't understand is real estate. One of my big things I tell people all the time is real estate doesn't sleep.
No.
You know what? I get calls at 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning. And if I don't have the right answers, it could be the difference of closing a deal or not sometimes, you know? So people don't understand it's a 24/7 job, you know, even though we can kind of schedule our own stuff.
Right. And, you know, I mean, working with the VA buyers, I've got buyers in Germany, Dubai, Italy. In fact, I just got another one that just came in from Saudi Arabia. Said, here, Keith, let's go take photos. Let's get this video going. Absolutely. You know, so yeah. And when they're calling and it's noon, it's about 3 a.m. here. So, you know, I still answer the phone when it comes to stuff.
Let's talk about that. I mean, you're still as a team leader, you're still at the ground level doing transactions. When's that going to stop?
Always. It isn't, because I love taking care of people. So basically, Beth, when she put the team together, and we've got transaction coordinators, listing managers, stuff like that, and it allows me to be able to pick up the phone, because I've done enough of entering stuff into the MLS, doing all the other stuff. And if you've never done those things, you would, you know, you need to have done some of those things, and then you'll realize and appreciate what it's like on the other end. So yeah, you gotta keep it going, and allows me to touch more people, and I just keep going from there.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Talk a little bit about that family life. I know you're married with some kids. You want to give them a shout out, who they are, and your reasons why you do what you do?
Absolutely. My wife, Missy, which we're coming up on 38 years of marriage here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's an accomplishment itself in this day and age, sir.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. High school sweethearts. So that's how it all started way, way back when we were 16. So we've been together a long time. So she's been my rock, especially all the wonderful medical situations I've been through with the cancer and stuff like that. She's the rock. And then my son, he's, of course, Minnesota, but he comes down and spends some time with us here, or we go up there, spend time with him there. But yeah, gonna get him down here. I tell you, and then of course my dad, who's also stuck in Minnesota, where I think yesterday it was 5 below zero. So where he was. So I just, you know, you got those people that have been always there to support. And that's the biggest key, is have a wonderful support system like that.
So let's talk about that, you know, and I know me and you talked about a little bit offline, but you know, one thing I pulled out of that was, you are a cancer survivor in remission?
Not yet. I'm going through.
So you're still going through it.
I'm still going through. It's just, I got to get another test here coming January 9th, and fingers crossed that comes out at the appropriate, then it'll be considered cancer undetectable. And then now I will have to wait my 5 years during that bell to be cancer free, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's, it's been a journey. And that's what's allowed me to still continue to do business, is I've got a phenomenal team. The, Rider Elite team is an unbelievable group, because even after having 5 surgeries a year, the 1 year, I still wound up being a number 1 producer because of that amazing team. And I tell the agents, get on a team. It allows you to be so much more to everybody. So
That's amazing, man. Well, God bless you, Keith, man.
thank you, brother.
Cancer survivor,
Yes.
working as hard as you do. You're a testament to our industry and all the good things that's out there for us.
Well,
Man, I know you got a lot of things to do. What did we not talk about today that we should have talked about?
Well, I tell you, I would love to do more of these with you whenever you like. I mean, the market, there's so much to cover in the market that's, so interesting. And, the development where everything's going and, people are talking with the AI. There's so many different things, the new NAR rules, all that other fun stuff. But there's plenty to go out there. But I think today we've covered a ton.
Well, we're definitely going to bring you back we're going to check in with you, see how the market is, see how you're doing, and
thank you.
And catch up maybe in 6 months or a year.
Sure.
Well, here's what I do know. If the people in Phoenix want to find you, and I know they do, how do they get hold of Keith Burton? How do they make you their agent?
They can call me at 623-523-7139, or they can text the same number, 623-523-7139, or they can reach me by email at Keith, which is KEITH, at ridereliteteam.com, and it's RIDER eliteteam.com, and we'll take phenomenal care of you. We've got a great group of people.
And if you're actually watching this as opposed to listening to it, you saw that go across the lower thirds. Well, Keith, it's definitely been a pleasure. Thank you for being on our show. I'm David Nguyen with the Mortgage Edge podcast. Thanks for being with us.
You're awesome.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, David.